Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Week 6 Monday mashup. And if there's a week to tune in, this is the week. This is one of the most iconic, incredible weeks we've ever seen from college football. I said it at the beginning of the week. I said it could be a good one. It was better than good. It was something you dream about, especially as a Gator fan, seeing a lot of your enemies fall, seeing, 4 of the top 10 teams go down. Like, it's unheard of. So you see that in a movie. We've got a jam-packed show. Don't go anywhere. We've got our overlap, our rebound team. You like that, which was reinvented this past weekend, peeled off, and then, of course, game of the week. And you're like, what did you use for all of these? We could have chosen every single game. We only picked what we could. It's going to be tough. But Cody, the professor, is here, locked and loaded. And then, of course, Cowboy Ty in absolute shambles. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Cody, I'll let you go first and let Ty suckle into his Cowboy there.
Pretty good. Florida won. Vikings won today in London. And, Ty still has a fucking box on his head, so we're all winning here.
Can we go like an hour, like just 90 seconds without you dropping an F-bomb, or is that par for the course now? Or is this what? Like, HR meetings are just there's no need for anymore. Cowboy Ty, how are you feeling, big guy?
I may never lose the box off my head. Like, I may never ever get to take it off. Like, I don't know if we win another game. I just can't. I can't find one. I'm looking for one on the map, but I can't find one. And we don't do anything well, so I don't know what to say about it. Like, it's rough. It is absolutely rough.
Well, we're gonna talk about over-reliable, which happens to be Clemson versus FSU. And last week, FSU was over-reliable because you could rely on them to not get it done, and they could have been over-reliable for that reason this week, but Clemson went in and looked like old-fashioned Clemson and have looked like old-fashioned Clemson for the last few weeks now. Clemson, who needs the portal? I'm loving what Dabo Swinney doing here after he has been vocal about sticking to his guns. Norvell, in a way, went his way with the portal, which has completely bit him in the ass. We talked about it on our Saturday show. How hot will Mike's seat get if they were to lose and if the loss is ugly? Well, 22 rushing yards is pretty gross. And 500 yards of total offense for Clemson is pretty gross. If you're FSU on defense. Cody, I'll let you go first, and then we'll let Ty go talk about his feelings.
Yeah, I didn't know that Mike Norvell switched to the air raid, so I was thinking, they probably had 500 or 600 yards passing, like 60 attempts, right?
228.
Oh God, yeah, you ain't gonna win nothing like that.
41
yards
41
rushing,
attempts. They were trying to throw it.
Boy, yeah, that's you know what that is? That's a terrible team is what it is. And it's funny because it's the talent's there. There is talented kids on that team, on offense, on defense, at running back. It's not like you're Vanderbilt, which I don't think FSU would beat Vanderbilt at this point after seeing what we saw today.
Oh, no way.
Yesterday. But yeah, it's wild to me. It's probably the biggest collapse of a program I've ever seen.
We keep saying that week in and week out, and I feel like we don't think it could get any worse, and we knew what was going to happen this week, but now it keeps kind of like sinking in, like there may be one more win on this calendar tied or on this map. Talk to me how you feeling, guy.
Yeah, so let me tell you, first of all, this segment's wrong because over-reliable should be Florida State knowing they're going to lose because that's the most reliable thing that we can count on this year in college football. The fact that they were only favored by 14 points was literally disrespectful, even though they did cover at the end. But the team doesn't run the ball.
They didn't cover. They lost by 16.
They did actually throw the ball better than with DJ Ooh. But, once again, it wasn't pretty by any stretch of means. My hat's going down. I just can't deal with a team that goes 13-0, and just because you lose people to the NFL, all of a sudden you forget how to coach a football team. So all that tells me is they were getting carried by all that NFL talent. So this coaching staff that's all here is just a bunch of frauds. I mean, they're frauds. They can't do anything well. They don't block. They don't run. Hell, we barely even can throw the ball. I mean, we can't do anything. It's an embarrassment. And good for Clemson. I don't think they're that great. They beat they beat a terrible FSU team. I don't think Cade Klubnik's that great. But Clemson did what they do. They handled their business. But handling your business against us is pretty easy task. Let's just be self-truthful.
I couldn't agree more. But Clemson, I mean, look, since losing week 1, which is, I've always said, is the best time to lose because everyone's forgot about it. And especially after this week, after what happened, everyone has forgot about it. And honestly, in my opinion, Clemson's undefeated at this point. That was a preseason game against Georgia because right now the ACC looks wide open. Miami has struggled ever since Florida. Apparently that was we were the worst team they've played because they have not looked the part since that game. Although they find a way to win, that's half the battle. That's something that they've been doing every single week. But you're 100% right. This over-reliable segment has its mobility this year. Look, FSU could own it if they continue to fall short. We have Duke next. Am I right?
Oh yeah, we're gonna make Malik look like a superhero.
I love it.
Is there a team in Florida you could beat right now?
Absolutely not. Maybe FAMU. Maybe.
Oh, that is tough times right now for Florida State fans, boys. Let's get into our rebound team of the week. Look, there wasn't many to choose from given the big losses that came through, but we did find one. The Dogs get it done against Auburn. At a time when the Dogs needed it most. I said this was going to be a close one. I'm going to say right now from a Wednesday show on our pick'ems, I was hot. I was hotter than hot. Told you these spreads were ridiculous. One of them being Georgia favored by 24. I said, look, Georgia will cover. I said 28-10. Would it end up being like 28-13? I mean, the kid knows his stuff here, okay? Thought Georgia would go out there. Still didn't look fantastic, but Auburn, again, was a wounded dog licking their wounds. They needed to bounce back. You like our little thing there? Freeze right there, because Hugh Freeze is just frozen with what's happening to him right now at Auburn. They're still recruiting out of their mind. They still have a dream they can sell. But Georgia's kind of looking around. Again, I think Georgia gave the blueprint in that second half. I think Vandy saw what happened there, and that's kind of where Georgia, and that's our Georgia guy, Jack Mack, was very ecstatic on how they looked and how they were favored heading into, after that game because they felt like they found a rhythm. They found a way to win. And even Uncle Lou was saying, Bama builds to beat Georgia. Georgia builds to win championships, which I absolutely loved Uncle Lou getting rowdy on that one. But, Cody, what were your thoughts on this game, man?
Just really concerned about Georgia, and they just like walk in and just sleepwalk the first half, and it's going to get you beat. You got beat by Alabama a couple weeks ago, and now Auburn goes up quick, to like a score and a half, and you're sleepwalking. There's just like no type of urgency with that team until it's like the second half. Like I don't know. It's going to get you beat against a lot better teams via Texas, Vanderbilt, and some others.
Oh, Miss Ty.
Oh yeah, I mean when I watched the game, Carson Beck, he once again he was very efficient. He did what he wanted, but one of their touchdowns literally was an overthrow, and it landed in the receiver's hands. And he takes off for the end zone. I mean, I think this game was 21-10 going to the fourth quarter. I was not thoroughly impressed with Georgia, but Auburn's not obviously a high-powered offense. They don't have enough ability to go in and like come back from behind on a team like Georgia. But moving forward, Georgia, if they get behind against somebody like Texas, they're going to be in trouble, and they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to do what they're doing to these other teams. So obviously they made the comeback in Alabama last week, and they were trying to get it together. But then again, is Alabama as good as we think they are? Like, I don't know. Like, so Vandy seems to think not. So I don't know moving forward. Like, they handled their business on a week where favorite teams were not handling their business. So, like, I guess you can say it was okay. But once again, I don't know if anyone covered this week. And we did talk about that earlier in the week.
Yeah, look, we talked about it as well. Good teams find a way to win. They found a way to win in a week where everybody was disastrous. USC goes down. These teams we're not talking about, so we're going to give them honorable mentions. Michigan falls to Washington, which I saw Washington was favored by 2, and I go, there's no way, right? Clearly, running the ball 600 times and throwing it for 10 times a game finally got figured out. I'm surprised that USC couldn't figure it out, but leave it to Jed Fish and Washington. Like, hey, you're not going to just run the football. USC goes down to Minnesota. Welcome to the Big Ten. Am I right? I mean, we just were talking about before the show. I said it early on. I go, this may be the first year we see a team not go undefeated, and there may be like your one-offs, right? Like a
Tennessee, Arkansas.
Yeah, Tennessee. I was getting into that. Tennessee, Arkansas. There may be your one-off, like kind of smaller schools that find a way to go undefeated. But even UNLV fell to Syracuse. I think Ty and I had Syracuse this week as well. And look, let's head into this real quick because the show is brought to you by, of course, BetUS. And when you use the code YouTube150, you get back 150% on your first 2 deposits, and then 125 on your third deposit when you go to betus.com and use the code YouTube150. And if you guys followed along on our Wednesday show for our pick'ems, I was dialed in on the spread, and I took Gators money line and locked in. We did 7 picks. I was 6 for 7. The only game that I was wrong on was the South Carolina Gamecocks and Ole Miss game, and I was an emotional pick. Because Lane Kiffin has proven to me to kind of let me down, and he was able to bounce back. Although there was some little bit of drama with players falling down when the hurry up would happen, and Shane Beamer had some things to say about that. But all in all, we call the upset week happening. I didn't think it'd be this crazy. I was thinking the spreads were a little outlandish. And again, it kind of just shows that Vegas is kind of, I think, running either they're doing this on purpose because you've talked about that before, or they're in complete shambles because of just with the amount of flip-flopping with the NIL, with the realignment of the conferences, with the Big 12, with the team going, or the playoff going to 12 teams now. So much has changed in the year. The whole landscape is different, right? The whole mindset, the whole approach is different. I talked about it in my show earlier on Sunday with, is it NIL? Is it the kids don't care as much? Is it like social media? Like, what is this pool? Is it because the playing field's a little bit level? I don't know. We'd have to do a study to find out. I think it's a little bit of all of it kind of accumulating to the top is why we're seeing so many teams fall. And look, I don't think this is going to be the only week that happens. I think we'll see this a couple of times throughout the year, to be honest with you. All right, boys. Let's head into the next one, which is You Like That. And this was originated from Kirk Cousins after his big win when he played for Washington. There's a clip of him walking out of the locker screaming, "You like that?" Because this one, Kirk was getting a lot of hate, right? He was kind of being pushed to the side. Well, Napier, as we know, has been shoved to the side, kind of written off. Has been written off by about 98.75% of Gator fans. And it feels like the team even written him off. But Saturday showed a little bit different vibe. And after the game, he's in the locker room and he goes, "You like that?" Had me fired up. So you know it had to be the You Like That segment of the week. Oh, Gators getting it done against UCF. A team, look, UCF is not sexy by any stretch of the imagination. UCF gave you the blueprint, or Colorado gave you the blueprint the week before. They run the football. That is their secret sauce. Stop that. Stop your boy RJ Harvey, which he was shut down like nobody's business. The defense showed up, which was very exciting. We heard that the defense was supposed to be showing up, and it finally did. Again, I'm still critical. I'm ecstatic that we won, but I'm still a little reserved because, again, going into this game, everything that I said, there's no reason we lose this game because they are a one-trick pony. If you lose to a one-trick pony with the talent that is on your football team, regardless of anything else, you should be able to coach yourself through a one-trick pony. If you can't, it's worse than we thought. So we did what we were supposed to do. Still some things that we can grow on, but ultimately, big W. Love the fire at the end of it and during the game. Cody, how are you feeling for that game?
Yeah, this is the Gator team that everybody was expecting to see week one. And, it just took a couple weeks to mature, I guess. I don't know. This is a win that it's almost bittersweet, right? Because you knew, like, if they just did some stuff like run-based defense, get out of the creeper stuff 24/7, quit being so exotic, just let the athletes athlete, that they could make the plays. That defense was absolutely electric. I'm going to tell you this. UCF is very lucky because with any other coach, Florida goes and hangs 60 on them, 70 on them. They could have. I think that the play calling got very conservative in the second half, and I just chalked it up as, it's Billy ball. That's what they do. So, but it's truly interesting for the defense to show up the way that they did, making tackles. They had KJ Jefferson absolutely stopped. I mean, that guy ran for 300 yards or 250 with Arkansas last year, and they absolutely said, no, we're going to force you to throw to beat us. And finally, the Gators come in and they get stop after stop. They just looked elite on defense, and it's just a head scratcher. Why did it take this long?
He had minus 18 yards rushing when he had 85 last week against Colorado. Look, again, another reason why I think Florida should have been a heavy favorite in my eyes, in the sense that you've already played this guy. You know what KJ is going to do to you. He wants to run the ball, and I think they did a great job of containing the pocket. We got pressure, we were able to get sacks, but that wasn't the first priority. It was to contain it, and let the pocket slowly squeeze in on him and force him to make bad throws, which he threw for 12 for 22 and 165 yards in an interception. Ty was big on RJ Harvey. He also picked UCF. How are you feeling, Ty?
I was impressed
on.
with Florida. I was impressed with Florida because I thought that they played defense better than they have seen them play all year, and they got pressure and they got sacks on KJ Jefferson. KJ Jefferson has regressed a lot. Don't get me wrong, but Florida went out and they beat. All you can do is beat the people who are in front of you. Now, I don't think they absolutely crushed RJ Harvey because he did over 100 total yards, but he only had 76 on the ground and 35 through the air. So, once again, they simplified. I've said this before, and I've told you this. When you simplify things and you let players just react, they react quicker and faster, and Florida looked quicker and faster. So, I think that they have finally figured it out that we don't have to go out here and we don't have to be Vanderbilt and be super smart out here. We just have to let our athletes be athletes. We're not out here. Florida's not out here putting architects out here on the football field. So just let them sit in their zone, find their guys, hit them, tackle them, and that's what they did. And good for them. They played a good football game, and I was impressed.
Look, RJ got his, and I think we knew that he was going to do that. That was something that I kind of preached on. They run the ball, so we expected him to be effective on the ground. Going into next week with Tennessee, I think you kind of nailed it on the head. Is you don't have to be a rocket science. You're going up against a sophomore quarterback that struggled against Arkansas, probably going to be battling some demons headed into this week as well. Use that to your advantage. You don't have to do anything sexy. You're not going up against Tom Brady. You're not going up against a third-year Quinn Ewers or J.J. McCarthy, who's going to slice and dice you and be able to read you and break. Just go play ball. Provide pressure. Force him to make uncomfortable decisions. There's this league right now is young in quarterback, and I think that's also why we're seeing a lot of upsets. Although the big upset with Joe Milroe is not a young quarterback, and Carson Beck, those two guys are not. The rest of the league, though, is extremely young. There's a lot of potential there to make some big errors. KJ Jefferson's not young; he just sucks. So that's
real fast. I think the most shocking play out of all the entire game was the personal foul on Billy Napier. To just have a pulse again. I don't know if he told,
it was a 15-yard penalty that had a return on investment of hopefully a couple of W's. You know what I mean? There could be something that comes from it. We've seen it before. Week one, year one. So it's been a long time since we've seen it, but maybe we can capitalize on that.
Yeah, Billy got his team to play in a must-win situation for him. I feel like he had to win this game. Otherwise, I felt like Gainesville was going to come down on him so hard. So,
look,
big
I know
way to get his prayer.
People are ready to write him off, and I completely understand it. And I'm back on this Billy train. I look, he cheated on me, okay, but he gave me a back rub last night. So we'll be cordial. You know what I mean? But there's still a long way to go. He's made plenty of errors that we've seen this. I've seen a little bit of this movie. Kind of get a little momentum. They don't do well with it. We're going on the road. I mean, your back's against the wall, but you have to give him credit for the fact that this team, given all the noise, given the red shirt nonsense and NIL and people sitting out, they're still kind of hanging out. Nobody's quit on them. So that's something that you've got to kind of. Yeah, I got to.
Is there a possibility that Billy Napier and company make a run and swing into the playoffs?
No, their schedule's about to get hard.
Is it though?
Is it? If I would have told you Vandy was going to win, you'd be like, no, it's going to be close, but no, if I would have told you that 4 of the top 10 teams would have lose yesterday, like, no. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those years where you're like,
You guys got hope,
no.
but there is not a whole lot of hope.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you, but if you give me a little bit of taste of that, a little bit of hope, it's college football. I'll bite. I'm here for it.
What I don't have hope. So you guys are way ahead of me.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are in the shitter. Let's get into you've been peeled off, which this could have been, like we just have gone over. It could have been this entire schedule. I mean, it could have been anybody. And I may have picked the wrong team. I think we talked about it beforehand. I think that was on me. I should have picked Tennessee, Arkansas. What? You didn't pick? I didn't pick Tennessee, Arkansas. Leave me alone. Lady, you changed my life. All right, ladies and gents, those two teams. We did choose the Tigers versus A&M. And look, my original thought was Elko evaporated Eli, and it's just because it was a cool little verbiage is why I wanted to say it. But I mean, they demolished them. Like and again, Arkansas wasn't ranked, but I think, I mean, all of us felt that game was going to be closer, as close as it was. Was there an upset possibility? I felt like that was more likely to happen than what A&M did to Mizzou. Not saying that A&M couldn't beat Mizzou, but A&M made it look like Mizzou didn't even belong in the top 25. Arkansas made an argument, like which they've kind of showed a couple of times, they might deserve to be in the top 25. So that was, I guess, more my thought process on it. But this Mizzou team, and I made a list earlier this year of top quarterbacks in the SEC, and I had Brady Cook up there. Them boys on offense did not look like they should be looking. Something is lost in Mizzou. Eli, this guy was I remember at SEC media days because they were kind of giving him a little bit of shit because of his schedule in comparison to the other SEC teams, and he was trying to downplay it. He's over here shit. He had a little bit of a swagger about him. I think he was walking like he kind of knew and felt like I thought they were going to go 11-1, maybe 10-2. This was not a loss that I had on their schedule. And that as ugly as it was. And look, I mean, we played A&M and we thought maybe Florida was that bad. Connor Weeman comes back and he looked like he is just slicing and dicing. That defense is something that we've been saying is going to be good. It frustrates me as a Florida fan, given the fact that their defensive coordinator was our linebacker coach and their defensive player, Scooby Williams, played for Florida, and Jaden Hill, and their defensive line coach also coached for Florida last year. So I've got questions. But that defense suffocated Mizzou yesterday. Cody?
Yeah, I think the problem with Mizzou is I don't feel that they have enough true horses on offense to where if they have a bad day, there's there's nobody like Williams that's going to bail them out, right? I just don't think they have that. I think they have a very solid team. I think they're a middle to upper middle tier SEC team, and I think that's just it. I think that they were overranked and overhyped.
Tyreek Sapp said they were overrated as well too. Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching this Mizzou team, and they're nothing compared to last year. I don't know what piece they're missing. I don't have a clue what it is, but like it seems like their skill position guys are still there. And Luther Burden last year was that Ryan Williams. He would bail them out. He would make plays. Brady Cook played 1,000 times better last year. I don't know if they got a big head. I don't know if they're missing key pieces from last year's team on the line. I don't know what it is, but they also couldn't stop Levi Moss on the other side. I think he had like 18 carries for 135 and 3 touchdowns. And Texas A&M is not like a powerhouse offense by any stretch of the means. I mean, Connor Wigman's okay. Like he was a top recruit, but like he has never done anything that impresses me. But they ran the ball down their throat. Brady Cook was 13 of 31. He couldn't complete the pass to anyone. I think he threw for 131 and 87 went to Luther Burden. So once again, I don't know what it is in Mizzou, but they're missing something from last year. I don't know what it is.
You know what it is?
Swagger or what? I don't know.
It's Cody Schrader. 1,600 yards from the backfield last year.
He was good. That is
very
important.
That might be it.
It's exactly what it is. That running back allowed for Brady Cook to just be Brady Cook. I mean, it was what Michigan was. Blake Corum was an absolute dog. J.J. McCarthy could go out there and make some good decisions. They had weapons in Luther Burden, and I think Luther Burden was able to do that. But now Luther Burden is your guy, and all the weight's there, and they're able to play towards that. Schrader was a dog last year.
Maybe the play action just doesn't have much effect with Noel in the backfield compared to what Schrader did. You know, Schrader, obviously you game plan for him. I guess you just kind of game plan for Burden now. I mean, I don't know. You know,
1,600 yards on the ground. That's hard to dupe. That's
That's
hard
a
to
lot.
That's hard to duplicate.
That's a lot.
I will
And he was
say
a
this:
horse.
it's a
He was
lot. It's a
Mhm.
lot easier to take a elite wide receiver out of the game with double bracketing and some other stuff than it is to take a dominant runner, right? Like,
True.
some of these guys like, Adrian Peterson and some freaks like that. Now, Schrader was not that, but a guy like that is a lot harder to stop than it is to roll
Ashton
double
Genty.
coverage. Yeah.
It's a lot easier
roll
to
double.
get them the ball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and get you out of situations, control the game, control the clock, and kind of slow and wear and tear these teams down. Mizzou has never been to be in that fire offense to run and gun and keep up with you. And so if the moment they get behind, it's kind of like that. That's all. In a way, they're very similar to Florida, if we're being honest. That offense is very slow. It doesn't. It needs to get into a rhythm, and if it doesn't, they get into trouble very quickly. They were able to find the escape from a few games last week, and again, we kind of laughed at them versus Vandy. Is Mizzou better than Bama? Yeah. Does A&M take down Bama? Dude, the SEC is wide open, and it's going to be fantastic. Did Rocket Money find you any subscriptions you forgot about or you paid for twice and didn't realize it? Can you name every single subscription you have? I know I can't name all of mine, and I'm not alone. I just learned that over 74% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. With Rocket Money, I don't have to remember every subscription or worry about forgetting any because I can see them all laid out right in front of me. Look, Rocket Money is fantastic. When you connect all of your accounts, what I enjoy about it is you connect all of your accounts, all of your cards, your bank accounts, etc. It's like, in my eyes, for me, like a little personal accountant. You get a little dashboard, shows you what's coming in and what's going out. And I think money, being educated on your finances, that what is coming in and what is going out is huge, and it allows for you to excel. This is why we were excited to team up with Rocket Money. I think financial education is very important. And unfortunately, it's not taught in schools. I was fortunate enough to have a mom that was very persistent on me learning these things. So I was, able to learn those and handle that. But that is my favorite part. Even with the subscription thing, I think just being able to have like your own personal accountant is what it feels like. It's fantastic when it comes with Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's features. Stop wasting money on the things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/hightopsports. That's rocketmoney.com/hightopsports. rocketmoney.com/hightopsports. Next up, ladies and gents, we have Game of the Week. Again, upset of the decade, century, whatever you want to call it. It was absolutely insane. A lot of great games. Michigan, Washington could have been here. USC, Minnesota could have been here. But I mean, we would be doing a disservice if we didn't pick this game. Down goes Frazier, Alabama. I mean, this is we were talking before this show. There's a little bit of like flack. Vandy's getting some flack for some people. There's always going to be the haters nowadays. You can't really put any stock behind this of them rushing the field and taking down the goalpost. And I was like, this is where rushing the field and taking down the goalpost originated. Like, if you were to look in the dictionary of like, when do you rush the field? This is literally what is next to it. Like, this is when you should do it. You said before the show they're 0 for 60 versus top 5 teams. Vanderbilt is, and look, it's not as sweet as if it was a Saban Vandy, but it's damn near close enough after the W they had against Georgia. And here's the thing: when you go watch the game, you're like, oh, well, Vandy must have just kind of got Alabama in a hole, and they couldn't come back. Well, they did. Then Bama came back, and then Vandy got them in another hole, and then Bama came back. And I was like, okay, Bama's going to handle this, right? And then when it came down to like, all right, let's play football. Let's see who's got what it's got in them. Bama needs a big stop. Bama always gets big stop. Nick Saban always gets big stop, right? Not today. Not on this Vandy team. We're not going to stop us this time. And it was almost like the Bama players were kind of throwing a fit of like, what's happening here? This is supposed to happen to us. We always get the big stop. And that was interesting to see that turning point. And again, Bama natives were going apeshit about this because, again, the immediate question of DeBoer of like, this is a fluke. He cut Georgia off, but now everybody's got they got him. It's like that freshman quarterback that comes out and kind of gets everybody excited. It's like, yeah, we figured him out. No big deal. It's going to be interesting to see. I may be overreacting, which is what we do in college football, but I'm not overreacting. The Bama fans they're in shambles. Cody?
I got a wild take for you.
Oh gosh.
I don't care if Saban was there. I don't care if Bear Bryant was there. I don't care. Whatever coach. Belichick. Vandy handles them. Minus Jesus coming down and coaching that team himself. Vandy handles Alabama yesterday. They were on another level. That wasn't coaching. That was Vandy wanted it more. The players wanted it more. They believed that they could do it, and they did it. Sometimes games are lost with players. Sometimes games are lost with coaching. That was players. Players on the field not making plays, and they sleptwalk, and that's what happens. They got sucker punched, and down goes Bama. And I'm going to tell you this. The wildest drug in the world is college football with a big win. Not 1 mile, not 2 mile, 3 miles. They carried that goalpost and dumped that thing in the river.
It is a hell of a
It's
drug.
like an hour walk with a goalpost on your shoulder to drop it in the river. That's incredible. It's the best sport ever.
Hell of a drug. Ty?
Man, I tell you what, this has been the highlight. I love when a big dog wins because there is nothing more. I think this might be the second biggest upset I've ever witnessed because there's no way. I know it was only a 22-point spread, but there's nobody in the world that thought Vanderbilt was going to win this game. No one, including myself. But about the game, and I watched this whole game and I loved every minute because I thought it was just a fantastic football game. Diego, that kid can play for my team anytime. He's not a pro quarterback. He's not going to go to the NFL. He's not going to do that. But that kid had a lot of fight and dog in him, and they rallied behind that kid. It's like Vanderbilt kind of runs like a modern day triple option. And by that, I mean, it's like, they're in the shotgun. They're still trying to run the ball. I think Diego ran it 20 times. I think their running back had 24 carries. But they were also running like fake dives with they ran they run at Travis Kelce, the shovel pass. And Stowers caught it twice. Once went for 50, once went for like 25. And just the fight of that Vandy team, there was a time when it was like fourth or third down, and they threw a long pass, and it hit the receiver, and he dropped it. And I was like, oh, man, that's the demise. You got to have those, beat Bama. And then it came back on 4th and 1. He threw it to the same guy, and he caught it in the end zone for a 35-yard bomb on first or 4th and 1 when they had to have it. And every time you thought Bama was going to come back and they'd score and they punch you in the face, and I was like, here it comes, here it comes. Vanderbilt had a counter punch and they stuck to their game plan. And that Diego kid, I'm telling you, they've rallied behind him, and he was a dog in that football game. And power to him. They deserved that. They deserved that win. They didn't just
build the statue.
They earned it.
You
Ryan
called him the
Williams
great.
was the only guy that could have saved Bama, and he tried single-handedly. He literally tried single-handedly. Milroe, all that Heisman talk. I'm sorry, buddy. You lose to Vandy, you ain't winning no Heisman.
It's gone.
You're done.
It's crazy. So, 3 things: Heisman, Baker Mayfield, and Wake Forest. That's what I'm going to go through really quick. You said he was a great value, Baker Mayfield, Cody, earlier.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel-esque, because the swagger, just the mentality of like, screw you. I don't care what you got to say about me. I'm going to get it done. Wake Forest, when I was watching it, it felt very Wake Forest offense. That kind of slow handoff is just kind of just drag you out. And it's like, it's ugly, but it works. It's just weird. Like it's like you're like, everyone just kind of freezes and it just kind of opens up.
When you don't get the 4- and 5-star guys, you got to have something. And like, that's counteract to them. And like that's what they're going to stick to it, and they're going to do it. And if you do it well and you just run it perfectly, every once in a while you can beat these athletes just running the ball that way. So,
and then the Heisman talk we were talking about on a Saturday show, if we were to pick somebody right now, who would it be? And I said it was one of the closest Heisman races up until this point. But with that in mind, I knew things like this would happen. Cam Ward almost went down. I was like, he's going to be out of the conversation. Ashton Jeanty kind of solidified himself even more. And I think Travis Hunter deserves it, but by golly, he is the last 3 running backs to win a Heisman were Derrick Henry, Ingram, and Reggie Bush. At this point in their career, when they won the Heisman, Henry was at like 600, and the other 2 are like 400. He's already at 1,000 yards.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And Carson Beck, he was in the conversation. Even with that loss to Bama, he's still technically in the like he could find a way to resurge back into it. Quinn Ewers is still in, even though he's been out for the last. There's so much football left that this thing could be.
What about DG when Ohio State loses to Oregon this coming week?
Another one that can make a big push now. But the Milroe didn't have a bad game, but you can't have a loss to Vandy and win the Heisman.
Yeah,
just
not
can't.
Vandy.
It's just it's not.
He had 7 carries for 10 yards. So I mean that's part of his. That's who he is.
Yeah,
if you have to rely on his arm, you're not going to win football games. He needs to be able to run also.
True. Well, ladies and gents, fantastic show. A lot to go over. A hell of a week for college football in this week 5. We should have Derek Duck back next week. He was doing some things this week. Hopefully, we're back next week. Got this hurricane coming in, so we'll see how this thing plays out over the next couple of days. So wherever you are in the state of Florida, be safe, hunker down, move, do what you got to do. It's gonna get rowdy before it gets clean. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. This show, of course, was brought to you by BetUS, and I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace and love, baby.